You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Thursday, September 26, 2019. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we are getting prepared for October, which is the month of the Rosary. To do this, we are learning more about the Rosary and how we can become warriors of the Rosary. We've already talked about how the Rosary is heaven's most powerful weapon. We've also learned how the Rosary is our way of honoring Mary, of actually placing flowers into the crown around her head. And yesterday we talked about how the Rosary can offer so much protection, whether we are fighting an actual war or we are simply needing to be protected from the evil forces in this world. Today we are going to talk about the incredible strength and courage that we will receive when we become dedicated to praying the Rosary often. To understand this more fully, we are going to look at two examples, two great saints from history. In fact, they lived around the same time. The first saint is Saint Maximilian Kolbe. We celebrated Saint Maximilian Kolbe's feast day last month, and in case you don't remember, Saint Maximilian Kolbe was a Franciscan. He was Polish, terribly devoted to Mary, loved her very, very much. But he ultimately died in Auschwitz, a Nazi concentration camp, when he volunteered to die for another man. Saint Maximilian Kolbe's entire life was dedicated to Mary. If he would meet a stranger on a train, he would start talking about Mary right away, like he couldn't resist another opportunity to talk about her. He handed out miraculous medals to everyone and anyone, and you had better believe that he prayed his rosary diligently. In fact, after St. Maximilian Kolbe was arrested by the Nazis, he was placed into a small holding cell. While there, a Nazi officer came to yell at him and mock him. Catholic priests were among those prisoners that the Nazis were the most cruel to. He began to strike St. Maximilian Kolbe, and he pointed mockingly at the rosary that hung from his belt. He said to him, "Do you believe in that? Do you believe that that has any power at all?" And St. Maximilian Kolbe, without getting angry, simply said that he absolutely believed in the rosary. The man continued to strike him and finally beat Maximilian Kolbe fairly badly, but had to leave because he was so enraged. St. Maximilian Kolbe simply picked himself up, brushed himself off, and began to comfort the other prisoners that were there with him, that were so upset simply watching this officer be so cruel to St. Maximilian Kolbe. Now, why didn't St. Maximilian Kolbe cry or feel badly for himself? Because after all those years of growing closer and closer to Mary, in a large part through the prayer of the Rosary, he had a great internal strength. Mary herself had told him that he would be not only a saint, but also a martyr. And he had said yes to this. He had embraced this, and he was allowing Mary to direct his footsteps. He trusted her so much that he was willing to face all sorts of terrible situations, knowing that it was her plan that he go there, that she had a beautiful plan. He might not be able to see all of it, but even there in the cell, with the Nazi soldier hitting him and mocking him, he knew that this was Mary's plan and that something beautiful would come out of it. In fact, many priests have talked about how the Rosary brings us into a situation like David and Goliath. If you think about it, Goliath was huge. Who could beat him? Certainly not this little boy with a slingshot and a couple of rocks. Well, look at the situation of St. Maximilian Kolbe. He was just a poor friar with nothing but a ratty robe and a rosary. Certainly, he's no one to stand up to the Nazis. And although the Nazis did kill him, St. Maximilian Kolbe is venerated and adored to this day. He is in heaven working miracles. He is with Mary. This is a true David and Goliath story. Now, the other saint that we are going to look to show the courage that can come from praying the rosary is Pope St. John Paul II. Now, John Paul II told us early in his years as a pope that the rosary was his favorite prayer. He loved to meditate on the life of Jesus and Mary, and he prayed his rosary without fail every single day. He also had a very, very close relationship with Mary, and we can see now all of the incredibly brave things that he did as pope. He went back and confronted the Nazis in his home country of Poland. He traveled to countries that the Pope had never been to before, all over the world. He talked to people of different religions. He tried to mend relationships that had been broken hundreds and hundreds of years ago. He worked to spread the faith to all corners of this world with no fear. And so, Sprouts, because I am so excited for you also to have this amazing courage that comes through a close relationship with Mary and a dedication to the Rosary, I want to simply remind you to get prepared for October, the month of the Rosary. Print off your calendar, learn all about the challenge, find your Rosary and make plans. Make plans to get really dedicated to the Rosary and enjoy all of these amazing gifts that come through it. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God intended you to be. As we learn so many amazing things about the Rosary this week, I want to remind you to pray the Rosary in your classroom, in your family, and on your own. To help you do this, we have all sorts of resources for you. First of all, the Mysteries of the Rosary board book set from Catholic Sprouts is on sale, and it is on sale for the cheapest price it will ever be through this week. Also, we will be hosting a Rosary Challenge for the month of October, which is the month of the Rosary. To find details on both of these things and many other Rosary resources, I encourage you to check the show notes for this podcast episode.